Coming up on the Making Waves VO podcast.
You know, you can't make everybody happy. You can't get along with everybody. And, you know, the worst thing that you can do for yourself, though, when you land in those situations is bring attention to it.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves. Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
This is the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell.
It is indeed the Making Waves VO podcast presented by our very good friends at Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
Oh, Bobby, we are so excited. We've got a great, talented guest coming up in Eric Sheffield in just a second. I did want to ask you, though, as I always do, how's your week been?
The past week I did like 1 or 2 spots because I was being grandma to a 1-year-old and a just turned 4-year-old for 5 days.
Oh, that's so nice, though.
That is work, Kevin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. It's 100%
at our age.
work. Yeah, for sure. And I know that you got a lot of joy out of that, though.
I did. I
For
enjoyed
sure.
every single minute of it.
For sure.
How about you? What's going on?
I had a very interesting thing happen, and it's made me really nervous. I'm going to try to be as generic as I can because I don't want to speak out of turn in case things turn around. But I have a client that I got when I was in radio in the late 90s. I want to say it's like 99 or so. And it's my longest standing client. So we're like talking about 26, 27 years. And just in early November, they were sending me work about once a week.
Yeah.
Literally, or sometimes multiple times a week. And it was a retainer agreement. But in November, they stopped sending stuff and they stopped paying.
Oh.
And I didn't even notice it until like late January, honestly. I'm like, wait a minute, why haven't I received any blank, blank, blank? And I'm
Because
like,
you didn't have power for like 2 weeks.
yeah, I was 12 days without power. I was, just madness and chaos and wasn't even thinking about that kind of stuff. So my biggest fear is they might do something with 26 years of recordings.
Oh, yeah.
That's made me very nervous. Now, I reached out to them and they said, no, it's just because this landscape has changed and we've lost a lot of accounts and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh.
But that said, I made a phone call, 2 phone calls earlier today, and my voice is still being used. So, and then one of them, I was like, is that me as I read it or did they manipulate it? So I've got to do some more digging. I got to do some more digging.
Yeah.
It makes me so nervous, though.
That's so scary because, I mean, they might not come out saying, hey, it is AI. We put your voice in here. They're just not being upfront. But
yeah.
If it sounds anything like you that you didn't record that, absolutely. If you signed, Did you sign an AI agreement?
No, that's the thing is we had a gentleman's agreement for this long. About 3 or 4 years ago, though, I had one of my agents reach out to them to put a new contract together to introduce the AI stuff, but they wouldn't sign it. So I don't know. I'm like, all right, we'll just kind of keep it as is. But anyway, we'll just see how it goes.
Keep us on top of what's going on.
Yeah, and it's okay. It's not the financial aspect of it. I just hate losing that longtime client, and because they've been great and and all that good stuff. And I would hate to think that the end user is using AI.
Right.
So.
But
anyway,
all good things come to an end, as someone said a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about good things. Let's talk about things that are happening in the social media world and in networking socially and these kinds of things. We have an amazing guest on. He does a lot of video game work. He does a lot of interactive. He can rap. He can sing. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome him to the Making Waves VO podcast, the multi-talented Eric Sheffield.
Hey, Eric.
Hey.
How are you, man?
Doing good. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, we got you. We got you.
I don't think I know of anybody who has a rap demo on their website. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What was the impetus of that, the rap demo? Was it specific, or you're just like, I got these skills, let's get it in a demo form?
I actually started out as a rapper, like back when I was in middle school, believe it or not. I always told myself, like, I'm going to be the next Eminem. And then, like, as I got older, I was like, okay, well, maybe not that to that degree. But in college, I did a little bit as a, I did some, like, underground, like, little battle raps here and there, but, like, more character-y style. And so that kind of helped transition a lot of like what I knew from quote unquote before I knew what voice acting was into voice acting. So it was kind of the start of my acting career. Ironically.
What would your rap moniker be if you had one?
Oh God. You know what? I had one and I am
Chevy?
No. It's a little cringy. It was my old Xbox Live account from like when I was like 4 or 5, so I was like, I'm gonna keep that one on the down low. It's a little embarrassing.
We're all friends here.
We'll call you E-Money. How about that? E-Money.
E-Money, jeez.
Good stuff, man. Well, thanks again for coming on the podcast with us. And we want to talk a little bit about social media and what you're doing in terms of networking, because, Eric, we have so many listeners that are newer to the game, or maybe they're in the middle of their career in the voiceover world, and they're always looking for angles, man. They're always looking for what's the next best thing I can do to reach clients, to keep that marketing machine going. What are you doing in terms of social media for your marketing?
So that's a really interesting question, an interesting point of view, because nowadays social media is a huge requirement, especially if you're going to be owning your own business. And, a lot of companies are really leaning into it. And so as voice actors, we have to do it ourselves. And so, a lot of the steps that I usually do is I try to create a social media platform that is authentic to who I am, to me and myself, which is a goofy little fella that's just out there trying to be real and interactive. And so it blends this idea of trying to create a community while also spreading the positivity of wanting to lift others up around you. And so that's what I cater a lot of my content to. Every single week, I make an active effort to reach out to other voice actors, regardless of skill level, where they are at in their career, because once again, we are a community and we have to stay together like that. And I try to set up coffee days with them and stuff like that. And that in itself is a good social media push to show that other people exist in this world, that other people, are trying to do the same thing. And that's a big play into what I want to do and what I do with this.
Just because you want to know about what's going on around you, or are you also hoping to connect on future work together, or is that just would be an extra bonus?
So, I never connect with people with the expectation of getting work. I connect with people with the expectations of trying to make a new friend. That is my number one goal every single time. And so whenever I hang out with people, we'll talk about work. We'll talk about voice acting. It's inevitable. You can't get away from it and stuff like that. We'll talk about the community. But in the end, it's like, hey, what kind of games do you like? What kind of music do you like? What do you do for fun? Like, what is the hobbies that you like? And that happens to naturally lean into finding work in itself, because what will end up happening is I'll become friends with these people because I authentically enjoy their company. And then next thing you know, 6 months later, 7 months later, they're like, hey, I'm in this project. We have room. I think you would fit. And then they usually end up coming back around and giving me work just naturally.
Don't go anywhere. The Making Waves VO podcast returns in a moment.
This is voice actor and voice acting coach Linda Bruno, and you're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. I heard it's really good.
Oh, Bobby, I remember getting into voiceover, and one of the most exciting parts about getting into voiceover is buying all the gear. You don't realize that until you become a voice actor and you got to produce your own stuff. And you go, ooh, this part should be fun. But then you go, I have not a clue on what I'm supposed to buy.
Exactly.
That's why you trust your good friends at Full Compass, fullcompass.com. They know VO there, and you're going to have a great selection of pro audio gear, and you're going to get a lot of good help. And there's a lot of good attributes that go along with buying from Full Compass.
Yeah, so if you're not really sure when you got the piece of equipment and you have questions about it, they have a free 2-year service or repair plan. They have free shipping on orders over $49. I love that. I think my favorite thing is the low price guarantee, because you just never know. You said a second ago that you're getting into this and you don't know what you need, but how about, do you know if you're paying the right price for it? So you don't have to worry about that when you shop at fullcompass.com. They'll guarantee to match the price on the products they sell for new, identical, and immediately available products offered at a lower price.
They have flexible financing, Bobby, and they also have free expert assistance, and that's why we say we know VO at Full Compass.
Everything from microphones to interfaces to headphones to mic booms, they've got it.
If you have any questions and you're more old school and you want to call them on the phone, you can call Full Compass at 800-356-5844. Full Compass and fullcompass.com.
We know VO. Now back to the podcast. It's interesting because before we started, Lacey, without even being prompted, said he is always having lunch with somebody or he's talking about this person. And now you're bringing it up. So, it explains everything, especially to Lacey.
And it's funny because, Bobby, we do the same thing. Like we're talking with Rob Reed. We're talking with our other colleagues, multiple times a week. And I think that connection there helps in terms of keeping us focused, keeping our spirits up, because this can get down. We can get down in this business if we haven't booked anything, or, we think we're, pumping out these great auditions and we're just not getting any feedback or any callbacks or anything like that. So I think this is a good thing that Eric is talking about, and maybe he doesn't even realize that side of it. Eric, we've done several episodes or a couple of episodes about the mental health aspect. Do you find that your connection with other people also helps with the mental health?
Now, that plays into a really interesting and deep area. Yes, and on both fronts. Recognizably, and I think you are correct, everybody in this industry, this is an industry where we can really have some down in the dump days and stuff like that. And that also kind of plays into the authentic part of why I do this is I reach out to these people so much. I talk to so many people that you really don't know what's going on behind the screen. You only see the wins, you only see the positives. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes I'll literally, this happened not even just 3 or 4 days ago. I went and had coffee with the guy, and we had a good conversation and whatnot. And we talked about the industry. He was telling me that he was kind of hitting a little bit of a stump in a log. He calls me up 2 days later, and he was crying on the phone, and he was just like, dude, I can't tell you how much I appreciated that conversation. I can't tell you how happy it made me that somebody reached out to me and wanted to get coffee with me. And it sometimes can feel isolating in this industry. And, that kind of sense of community helps give people inspiration. It gives people the fire to keep moving forward sometimes. That's why I encourage for people to do this, to help out, because everybody's going through it, and we just need a little sense of human connection sometimes.
Yeah, this little 4x4 space can definitely 4 puffy walls looking at you.
These little puffy, padded rooms, man.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about social media a little bit more, of the etiquette of it, if you don't mind jumping into that. I saw you on LinkedIn, and do you do the same there with when you make connections with potential hirers, or is it mostly just friends in the business or colleagues.
Even potential hirers, I do the same thing
Okay.
to them. There was an agent over in LA, and actually I do this with a lot of the agents over in LA. I remember whenever the fire was going down, and I reached out to them, and I was checking in on them. I was making sure they were okay. I was offering assistance and help. We were talking about like the safety of their pets and stuff like that, and I was trying to offer like boarding for their pets if they needed it and whatnot. And once again, that little connection right there, my attempt was not to be booked by this major agency. My attempt was to ensure their safety. Same thing when I reached out to another one, which more people probably know about this incident, but the agency had a big scam issue where someone was impersonating them and then going around trying to scam people. First thing I did, emailed that dude right up, said, hey, this is happening right now. I just want to let you know I'm going to go ahead and try to do something to help mitigate anyone falling for this. He reaches out to me. It's like, hey, I'm out of the office right now. But I'm going to try and reach out to somebody in my office to help out with that. I really appreciate you taking the active effort to ensuring the safety of other people in our company. And I was like, that's what I'm here for, man.
That was super cool.
Yes.
Yeah, and what an impression that must have made.
It definitely did. And once again, it wasn't my goal or anything like that, but they did like leave me with like a thing where it's like, hey, if you, if you're, he's like, are you signed? I was like, I am signed. He's like, all right, well, if anything changes, let me know. And I was like, thanks, man.
That's great.
Yep.
So it really is just a connection. It's not necessarily a work thing. It's just, being human to human and then, letting it go wherever it's going to go.
People like working with people that they like working with.
Yeah.
That is so true, and that's what it is. It's all about, and you hear the cliche, but it is so true. It's all about the relationships. And what Eric is talking about is perfect. He's talking about connecting with folks without an ulterior motive. He's just talking about connecting with folks just to connect and get to know more people in our industry. Eric, let's talk about your work a little bit more. What are you spending your days working on mostly in terms of types of auditions you may be doing and types of work you're doing? What genres mostly?
So I try to kind of keep it very open-minded about like all the works that I do, because like I made a post recently about it, talking about the different genres that I did, because I touched up on a lot of different stuff. I'm doing slot machine stuff in Vegas these days. I just recently got on a political like ad roster not too long ago. Last year I was on a private roster for doing like grocery store in-house ads over in the UK. But character work was always a dream for me, but it was never the end goal, right? The end goal was to try and facilitate an entire career doing what I can to like make it happen. And so I never stopped with just anime. I never just stopped with commercials. I never just stopped with audiobook, and I never just stopped with like video games. I actively looked around and I found what I found, and I kept putting myself more and more out there until eventually I had this giant catalog of different things. Nowadays, though, if we were to talk about something nowadays, I did just recently book a character for School Bus Graveyard. I'm one of the lead cast members in that.
Nice.
And
Congrats.
Thank you. And that has been creating a new type of work for me that I'm having to learn, because once again, right back into the marketing aspect, I reached out to Webtoons and I was like, hey, like we could be, this is something where every single time you put a video out, it's getting 12 million views. The fan base has 288 million people looking at it.
Wow.
Like why? Like we did an impromptu Q&A panel and 3,000 people showed up to it last minute. We could be taking this and really pushing it out there. And so I'm now having to negotiate and learn and talk with investors about like setting up cons, pop-ups, and everything else. And I'm kind of on the forefront of pioneering and pushing that to make it happen. there's
remarkable.
different work.
There's a lot of time invested in that too if you're working in so many different genres and staying on top of social media. And by the way, are you ready for political season and having those golden handcuffs?
Ooh. Sure.
Sure. But no, seriously, how do you manage your time? Do you pick certain days you're going to do one genre, or is it just as it comes in, or what you're feeling like that day?
It is kind of like what I'm feeling like that day kind of thing. But I mean, like, if I'm getting an audition from like one of my private rosters of many, I am going to knock that out over like something that's a little bit more public. As much as I love like there's so much work out there on Twitter and Casting Call Club and VAC and all those like and ACX and whatnot. And as much as I love those right there, I do have to put a little bit more priority on my private roster work, because those are people that are actively looking at me and looking to book me.
Sure.
Hi, this is Marie Westbrook. The Making Waves VO podcast is rated PG-13. Sometimes R, very rarely NC-17. Enjoy.
But that brings up a question, because, Kevin, I know that one of your agents requires you to respond or at least submit for every audition. Is it that way in the genres you work in, Eric? Or is it kind of like if you're feeling it, they don't really, you do it. If not, they don't want to know about it?
Kind of like, I would say 50-50 in a way. It's very loosey-goosey. As long as you respond and, like, let them know, just, like, say, like...
One way or the other.
Exactly. Like, just say, like, hey... I might be a little bit busy for this one today and won't be able to put it in. One of the things that kind of started to help me out a little bit, especially like with commercial works, because you can kind of get away with this. I did invest into like a really good lavalier microphone. It's like it was like $45 for a single one or $80 for a 2-piece. And I just kind of keep my iPad on me nowadays. And if I'm ever out traveling for work, say if I have to fly out to New York or LA, just pull out my iPad, pull out my lavalier microphone, just knock it out right there, because it has like good enough sound dampening acoustics. And then I give them the most honest response, where I tell them like, hey, this is through my travel equipment right here. Here's a sample of my studio. Here's a sample of everything else. That's what it sounds like. If I book the gig, this is what you'll be getting. Do you ever duck into those mommy breastfeeding pods at the airport? I don't think I could do. I would like kidding. To. Yeah, I'll leave that open for the mothers.
If there's nobody in there, Bobby, I'll pop in there for a nap. Oh my
That's
goodness!
Good.
Eric, is it okay? Can we? Are you okay with talking about your heritage a little bit?
Yes, absolutely.
Would you, if you don't mind, would you describe your? Because I do believe my wife is exactly your heritage. But if you don't mind, from your point of view, what is your heritage, and how has that, impacted any maybe characters you might do, or any kind of work that you may do?
Yeah. I'll talk about that a little bit. It's probably not going to be as glamorous, as glorious as it sounds on my end, though. So, are you Kickapoo by chance, Bobby?
Am I?
No. Oh, and Bobby's not my wife, by the way.
Oh,
she's
she's
my work wife.
Apologies.
A lot of people think that.
Gesundheit. What'd you say?
Is your wife Kickapoo, Kevin?
No. My wife is. She's adopted, but we did her ancestry, and all of her people are south of the border as indigenous.
Okay.
So her heritage, she's like 70% indigenous Hispanic, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. So, if you don't mind speaking to your heritage and how that might play into roles you might create, or if you do tap into that at all.
Yeah. So I, funny enough, I'm pretty much probably same setup then. We are the Kickapoo tribe, but on the southern side of things. Now it's kind of it's kind of ironic, because I actually didn't find that out until I was like 26. So
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, I found out
too long ago.
Yeah, my mom called me up and she was like, "Hey, we just found out that we're full Native American," and I was just like, or full indigenous, and I'm like, Wait, so like I've gone my entire life like going to college and everything else, and we just now found this out.
Dang.
Cool. But I did grow up near like a lot of tribe areas and stuff like that over in my old hometown of Woodville, Texas. And so we used to like actually go out there and like really learn about hands-on like the experiences that they have out there. So I definitely had like a very cultural experience with them. It was really cool. Now, recently, you know, I've been kind of like really diving into my own heritage though and trying to learn about it. The challenges that I am running into now though, as a voice actor who lists myself as Native American and trying to fully capture my culture is I'm having to speak with other Native Americans and trying to figure out how I can go about finding it. And that in itself is a whole task, but it's been a very fun and enlightening one. Now, when it comes to VO work, though, most of the time it's pretty chill. I really, really love how respectful everybody is about the culture, and like anyone who's looking to hire Native Americans, because I did do one for a game called Gales of Nayeri, and they were Gales of Nayeli. The entire cast is all Native American. I think there's like 200 people
cool.
on there.
Wow.
Yeah. But every now and then, like I'll get one from I think I had an audition for a museum piece, and it was supposed to be like those audio biography ones, and then they were like, yeah, we really want an authentic Native American accent to it. And I was like looking at it like, what does that sound like?
Yeah.
I was like, what is an authentic, why is this so vague? And so I had to like search up like a Native American accent, which kind of was like a very pointed Southern accent in a way, or like a pointed Alabama accent in some cases, because I was like trying to like really find a way to respectfully approach this, because my first question was like, okay, so do you want this specific tribe, or do you want like that offensive one that Disney did back in like 1920s?
That's what I was wondering. Were they just looking for like a generic stereotype from history, you think?
Because like it's so weird to say that the accent that they used in Disney films back then isn't even an indigenous accent. It's just a random accent of broken English. And when you actually listen to someone who is indigenous, it's if they're from like the Mexico, or like from Mexico or Southern Texas, it's just a Spanish accent or a Southern accent.
Yeah.
So when you're doing your commercial auditions, are you getting many auditions with that in the specs, or are you just, if it's very, very specific in a when you're doing a character role or a dubbing project, do you see that in commercial work that you're using your heritage?
I do. Great question. So yes, I do get a lot of auditions that usually is looking for Native Americans and stuff like that. I will say 95% of the time they are not looking for any specific accent. They just want someone who is culturally there. And so every now and then though, like some of them will like one of the big reasons why they'll try to hire someone that's more culturally respectful to the area is because they want someone who can actually like talk about the towns and the cities. There was one audition that I did that was really heavily based around like a lot of the cities and the history around it, and I thought that was such a cool piece of media because it allowed me to also like some of the information I knew just from studying it or like learning it with some of my peers as they were kind of teaching me my own heritage, and then some of it was new information where I was like, whoa, this happened, this is so cool.
Hang around, we'll be back shortly.
Lisa Lou Perry here, voice talent and former work wife of Kevin Kilpatrick. Bobby stole him from me. But damn it, you've still got the best VO podcast in all the land right here. The Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin and Bobby. Enjoy.
As a voice actor, you want to focus on what's important, right? Like pulling off the perfect read. You don't want to stress about tech stuff. That's why Full Compass is in your corner. With 50 years experience in pro audio, Full Compass has everything we voice actors need. Mics, headphones, monitors, mixers, interfaces, DAWs, all the goodies. And their certified product experts help with everything they sell. Plus, you can get free same-day shipping, flexible financing, and a low price guarantee. See it all at fullcompass.com. Fullcompass.com. They know VO.
Making Waves returns.
I'd like Lacey to jump on for a second because you guys have done projects together. I'm curious, you had mentioned earlier that you fly to LA or wherever to do some projects. How do you both feel about being in group situations compared to just a remote recording situation?
Oh, man. Lacey, you want to take it up first?
Sure. Well, I've personally never been to LA for work. That is Eric and him being super uber million miles cooler than I am. The only ensemble work that I've ever done is for audio dramas, which when we talked to Chloe Elmore, you can check out that episode to learn more about audio dramas. I'm not going to get into it, but that's where I've only done ensemble work, and I personally like it more than when I have to be on my own. But I think a good middle ground there is when it's at least a directed session. I like having someone there to help with guidance, because a lot of stuff that I do is self-directed. And when you're talking about the work that Eric and I do together, some of that work is mostly like mobile game or promos for mobile game. And like one of the projects actually that Eric hired me for was a promo, and it was just, Lacey, here's every single line in the promo. Yours are highlighted, and I don't know, give me one or two of your favorites and send them on, and we'll figure it out. And those are fine. Obviously, like, I'll do any kind of work, but it's just when you're by yourself, it's definitely harder to know like what's going on and how are the other people saying things. And I can read all of these lines and see what the vibe of the commercial is, or the vibe of the promo is, but everyone's gonna have their own take on what's happening. Plus, if I'm just a couple of like exclamatory or response sort of, like, I'm not the main person in this promo, I don't know how they're going about it. So when it comes to preference, I prefer to be an ensemble, but I mean, work is work and you have a fun time regardless of what you're doing. Eric, what do you think?
So same thing. I do enjoy being in group settings a lot more. It's very rare that we do it in voice acting, but the few times that I have done it, which was we did it for the Buffalo Wild Wings commercial. Actually, we had 4 voice actors in the same room, all bouncing off of each other.
Oh,
and,
nice.
It was basically an almost fully improv script. I'll say that much.
Fun.
I know, it was crazy. But we've done it for some video games. We haven't done it really for ADR and stuff like that. I always wanted to try that though. It sounds really cool. I mean, like whenever you start getting into like big groups and stuff like that, like groups of 3, groups of 4, that's really where you kind of have to start applying the Meisner's technique a little bit, because the idea is to bounce off of your colleagues, right? We did it for School Bus Graveyard recently, actually. We got the entire cast with the author, and we just all sat in and we just read the episodes and submitted it all in. It was
Oh, cool. Did you
fun.
do that on the Storyco software, or did you guys record on your own?
We all recorded on our own side, and so we have like because we're like, it's a 96 episode show, so we're pretty deep into it, and we finally all got connected. We all started talking, and then one day we were just like, hey, what if we just all got together and just read the script and just kind of bounced off of each other, and it was fun. It was cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
That is super cool. Something with the way you do your stuff and social media involvement and that kind of stuff, I bet you're discovering some new places to find work. And the Chloe Elmore episode was brought up a minute ago, and she talked about Discord. Now, I've heard of Discord. I have no idea what Discord is, though. But what are, Eric, some other unique places where there may be work that not everybody knows about?
Man, I am about to blow everybody's mind on this one.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, so there's a lot of different ways that I usually find work. One of the ways that I did it was I heard about there being a e-learning convention in town over at the downtown Dallas convention center, where they had a bunch of both teachers and programmers and producers that were trying to learn about more e-learning educational pieces for children. I bought a ticket to that, showed up. I was looking at all the programs, and I literally was just out there with my little QR code like, hey, man, dude, if you need some voice acting stuff for these e-learning projects, I'll happily do it. Landed a contract. So...
Wow, so cool.
So that's, I learned that technique from, I was watching a webinar style education system from, I believe it was Michael Schwalbe that was doing it. Mm-hmm. And he talked about how he went to an indie video game convention and how he was networking out there. And so he ended up, from doing that alone, he ended up in 3 of the top 10 all-time games of Steam. I wish I could remember all the names. It was Slade Aspire, Monster Train, I think it was one of them, and I want to say Ori and the Blind Forest. And he found that all at an indie video game convention. And so I was like, wait, that's genius. I'm going to try that out. Went to an e-learning convention. Boom, worked. Whenever I go to video game conventions or anime conventions, if I'm ever visiting or anything like that, I make sure to make a beeline effort to go to the indie section. And I'm talking to people left and right over there. And one of the guys gave me a QR code that led me to an entire community of indie video game creators. And every now and then, I'll just post my stuff on there and say hey guys, if y'all, if anyone needs voice acting, let me know.
Yeah, you never know what situation is going to be, like we talked about before, that connection. I mean, Kevin, I told you about the time when I was getting new windows put in my house in Cincinnati, and the agent came, over and showed me everything, the prices and that, and I just said, well, I'm a voice actor, I'd love to do your all's commercials. And he didn't, he says, oh, that's pretty cool. And nothing happened then, but now I'm the national voice of Champion Windows. And it's I don't know if somebody spoke to somebody, but it's just years later, somebody remembered me, and you never know where you're going to go. That you just have to be assertive and, proud of it, confident in what you're pushing.
That's so cool.
I love that.
Well, I wanted to ask Eric, so with, you knowing everybody out here and being so connected on social media and having the gumption to just kind of cold reach out to people, I would argue, or I would posit, that you're also really familiar with rejection and the negative side of social media and everything that happens with that. Would you mind sharing how you navigate it, or what is, when you say, hey, man, it was great to talk to you. Do you want to get some coffee sometime? And they say, no, you're stupid. I don't ever want to talk to you again.
Oh, I thought you meant in terms of trolls or something like that.
Yeah, sure. And
does
trolls
that play
too.
into it too?
So
yeah, I mean, anything with the social media, especially with how active you are.
I love that, because there has to be negative, Lacey. That's a great point.
So how do you navigate that, Eric?
So, and Lacey knows I have dealt with that before.
I figured there was something back in the back burner,
Yeah. So this is a very tricky one, right? It is. So inevitably, you will run into that. You will run into. You will hang out with somebody and you will have a sour time, or you will find that, maybe not everybody likes you. And that's to be expected in an industry with so many different minded people. You're not going to see eye to eye with everybody. And, you have to kind of come to terms and be like, that's okay. You can't make everybody happy. You can't get along with everybody. And the worst thing that you can do for yourself, though, when you land in those situations, is bring attention to it. If the person doesn't want to talk to you, if they blocked you on socials, if they don't want to interact with you, or if they just don't like you at all, and let's just say you're just hanging out and you just hear from your friends oh, dude, like this guy hates you, man. Like straight up. The best thing you can do. Oh, trust me, it happens. The best thing you can do for yourself is let it be. Just let it happen. They will eventually tire themselves out from the negativity, or they'll move on. They'll eventually just kind of get over it, or I see it so often on social media where people will get blocked by someone, and the first thing they'll do is they'll screenshot it, and then they'll go and they'll post it on their social media and be like, hey, this person blocked me, but I don't know what I did. And it's like, well, now you're bringing attention to it because now you got thousands of people looking at this.
Yeah.
And now everyone else is going to want to know why, and they're going to bother that person, and it's going to make them even angrier at you. Just,
Or it could be a bot, and you're wasting your time anyway.
Or it could be a bot.
Yeah.
And so that's why I tell people, just let it be. Just let it happen. Give them their space. Don't think too heavily on it. Don't let it affect your day. Don't let it ruin your mood. If you truly didn't do anything that you feel is deserving of that or anything like that, maybe one day you'll run back into them and you could talk to them about it, and you could figure out what it is that did upset them. If you did, maybe lay out a humble apology. I'm telling you, there has been so many people that I have had negative interactions with, and then a year later, 2 years later, even this week for me, like eventually they'll reach back. They inevitably will reach back out to me, or I will run back into them, and I'll either give them their space and let them come to me. But throughout my many years of doing this, inevitably at some point in time, every single person that has hated me has reached back out to me and said, I don't even know why I was angry at you, man. I am so sorry. I've squashed every single one of my beefs that way.
Kind of like high school all over again.
It kind of is, but I don't feed into the high school mentality. I just keep doing whatever I need to do to make my life keep moving forward, and eventually it just magically works out, and that's just because you give them space.
Social media is a funny thing.
Greetings, my monstrous minions. I'm your ghost host, voice actor, director, sand wraith, and metal master, Michael Schwabe. But don't be scared. You're just listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin and Bobby. Keep on listening, if you dare.
Well, Bobby, if you didn't have anything else, and
No,
Lacey,
I'm
if
ready
you
to
didn't have
hear
anything
the nightmare.
Eric, we talk about these all the time as voice actors. We've all had them. Recording session that maybe couldn't have gone much worse. Would you please share with us a nightmare session story?
Nightmare Sessions.
So for Buffalo Wild Wings, we did the big group session. We had 4 people in there. And it was an entire so we had an outline script, right? And so we ended up having to improv it. So remember how I kind of talked about how I snapped my cans?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is so layered. First, we all get into Source Connect for this. For whatever reason, one way or another, my Source Connect was just not wanting. I literally just used it for right before that session for Zenless Zone Zero, and it worked fine. But for some reason, the next day I got into the B-Dubs commercial, and every single time I was starting to talk, the director would go, "Hang on. Hey, Eric, I don't know why, but you keep when you start talking, it sounds fine, but over the course of time, you start to slowly turn into Optimus Prime." Wow. And I was like, "Oh no, I don't know. I'm sorry." And I'm trying to fix it and stuff like that, and I'm trying to adjust it, and we're going through settings. We have all these people in the call, all 4 of us, and in the middle of me trying to fix it, that's whenever I went back to my computer to try and figure out what setting was happening, and that's when I snapped my cans, and I was like, "No,
you poor guy."
All this was happening.
So now, like, my Source Connect wasn't working. My cans were broken. And we were trying to figure something out. And I was like, hey, I don't know if this will help, but I can just record the audio on my side and send it to you. And they're like, yeah, that'll be fine. We'll just do it that way. But at this point, I have to like now listen to them from the speaker in the other side of my office. And so I'm having to improv this commercial script while also trying to like listen to what everybody else is saying. And
and that just puts stress on you.
It puts so much stress on it. Thankfully, after I got done and we got everything settled, I got an email from the girl who played Honey Sriracha, which is my twin in the session, and she was like, "Hey, I don't know what happened to your Source Connect, but I just wanted to let you know that you were very professional and very quick about trying to find a solution, and you handled that stress really well." And I was like, thanks.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Is that the spot that's on your demo, Eric?
That is the spot that was on my demo.
Oh, that's a great spot.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
You should play it, Kevin. You can just dip it in right here.
Well, let's play it right here. Through the magic of editing, Lacey, please play it.
Big day, Wild.
How big is it?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Today, we find out if honey garlic and honey sriracha are related!
Ooh, that is a big day.
Oh, that was fantastic. I love that.
So good.
That's so great, man. Good stuff. I love the improv. It's funny because I will tell you a little something about improv. I was working with a guy, and he's a little bit older than me and has been in the business a long time, and he gets his hair all in a ruffle anytime improv comes into play because he's like, why aren't these writers doing their job? They're asking us actors to improv all this stuff, and we're doing all the writing for them. I'm like, dude, just take the check. Come on.
Oh, man.
We got to be grateful for what we get and those opportunities. And I welcome opportunities to improv myself because, that it lets us put in our personality and our own flair.
Exactly.
Yeah. Eric, this has been great getting to know you, man, and thanks for your time and sharing with us all this social media gold and these tips and these little things that may inspire folks to reach out to other people and keep connecting with people more and more because it does pay off in the long run, it sounds like.
And we can't wait to hear you on your, or is it hear or see you on your new series?
School Bus Graveyard is already out. They are 40 we're about 40 something episodes in now, released, and they're releasing 2 new episodes every single week. Cool. You can see it on Webtoons. It is an incredible series, especially if you're a fan of like horror and whatnot. It basically caters to that.
Fun.
Super cool. Well, man, much success, continued success moving forward. If anybody wanted to reach out to you, are you okay with giving out some socials or some emails or anything like that?
Oh, it just so happens that this whole meeting was about social media. Yeah. Yes. So if you want to reach out to me, you can basically find me everywhere at Eric Sheffield VO. ERICSHEFFIELD VO. That is my name on every platform.
Except for rap, is Easy E.
Except for rap.
Eric E. What was it, Kev?
E-Money.
E-Money. That's right. Easy E.
Easy E. I was a part of NWA. Did you guys know that?
Oh, yeah. You weren't even born, my man.
Oh, what?
Thanks for your time,
Thanks, Eric.
And we'll talk to you again soon, man.
All right. Thank you. Y'all have a great night.
That was so much fun getting to know Eric Sheffield, and what a whiz with the social stuff and some really fresh ideas in terms of marketing.
Yeah, you can tell he's very proactive in that end of his occupation. He just he doesn't let a thing go by that he thinks, oh, I could do this and I could do this. So good for him. I can see why he's so successful.
Yeah, and checking out the local events that are happening that are even closely related or somewhat related to voiceover. I love that he said, oh, there's an e-learning thing here. I'm going to go to that. And, seeing all the indie game makers and stuff. So, yeah, good stuff. Bobby, let's do it again soon. Maybe.
Let's do it.
Yeah. The Making Waves VO podcast is presented by Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
The Making Waves VO podcast is produced by K2 Media Productions with hosts Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Sound design and editing by Jason Traver. Production assistance by Lacey Deline. Publicity and social media by Shannon Scott and Silas Phillips. Be sure to subscribe to the Making Waves VO podcast on your favorite platform. For all episodes, merchandise, gear, and more, visit makingwavesvo.com. Until next time, I'm AJ McKay. Keep making waves.